Most people think networks are built. They imagine connections as something you actively go out and create. Meet more people, talk to more people, expand your circle over time. But most meaningful networks are not built that way. They are inherited through proximity. A network is not just a collection of people. It is a flow of information, decisions, and opportunities moving between those people. What matters is not how many individuals you know. It is whether you are positioned close to where movement happens, because movement is selective. Inside certain environments, information moves quickly. Ideas are shared early. Opportunities are discussed before they become visible. Decisions are made in smaller circles before they reach the outside. This is not hidden. It is simply contained. Contained within groups that already trust each other. When someone grows up or operates inside these environments, they do not think of it as networking. They are not trying to gain access. They already have it. Conversations happen naturally. Introductions are informal. Information flows without friction. It feels normal because it is normal within that structure. Outside of that structure, the experience is different. Networking becomes effort-based, reaching out, cold introductions, attempting to enter spaces that are already formed. It requires persistence, but more importantly, it requires timing. And timing is not always visible from the outside. This is where the misunderstanding begins, because people assume opportunity appears randomly, that deals surface publicly, that information is evenly distributed, that if something is valuable, everyone will eventually see it. But most movement happens before visibility. By the time an opportunity becomes public, it has already moved through multiple layers, discussed, evaluated, passed between individuals who are already positioned close to each other. What reaches the outside is often what remains, not what originated. And this is not a flaw in the system. It is how the system functions. Networks operate on trust. Trust reduces friction. Faster decisions, fewer barriers, less verification. People prefer to move opportunities through individuals they already know or through those connected to them. Not because they are excluding others intentionally, but because efficiency favors familiarity. So opportunity does not travel outward first. It travels inward, through relationships, through proximity, through environments where trust is already established. Only later, if at all, does it expand. This is why two people can be equally capable yet encounter completely different levels of opportunity. One is positioned near the flow. The other is positioned outside of it. Same effort, different exposure. Over time, this creates a pattern that looks like momentum. Some individuals consistently find opportunities. Others constantly search for them. But the difference is not luck. It is access to movement. Once you are inside a network where decisions circulate, you do not need to chase visibility. Visibility comes through proximity. Introductions lead to other introductions. Information arrives earlier. And more importantly, you begin to see how movement actually happens, not from the outside, but from within. This is the invisible layer most people never account for. They measure effort, they measure time, they measure results, but they do not measure position within the network itself. And position determines what reaches you. Not everything, but enough to change direction. Because when you are close to movement, you do not just react to opportunity. You encounter it early, before it becomes visible, before it becomes crowded, before it becomes obvious. That is where the difference begins. Before this continues, if you felt seen instead of sold to, that's the entire point of Relentless Wealth. Like the video, subscribe. We're just getting started. Once you understand that opportunity moves through people, the next layer becomes clear. It is not just about who you know. It is about where you are positioned relative to them. Because proximity alone is not enough. Position determines influence. Most people focus on access to individuals. They try to get closer, attend the same rooms, enter the same spaces. But being present in a room does not mean you are part of the movement inside it. Presence is not positioning. Positioning defines how you are perceived within a structure. Are you central to the flow or peripheral to it? Are you part of decision-making or observing it? Are you contributing to movement or waiting for it? These distinctions are subtle, but they determine everything. In any system, there are layers. At the outer layer, people consume information. They react. They follow movement after it becomes visible. Closer in, people interpret information. They analyze. They adjust based on what they see. At the center, people influence movement. They create, direct, and distribute opportunities before they reach anyone else. Position decides which layer you operate in. This is why simply getting in the room rarely changes outcomes. If your position in that room is undefined or low impact, you remain outside the flow, even while physically inside. You hear conversations, but you are not part of them. You see decisions, but you do not shape them. You witness movement, but you do not receive it early. Positioning is built through alignment, not visibility, not attention. Alignment with value. What do you contribute to the system? What role do you play within the network? Why should movement pass through you? These questions are rarely asked directly, but they are always being evaluated. When someone is well positioned, opportunity does not need to be chased. It arrives through function, because they are part of the mechanism that moves it. They are not waiting. They are involved. Without positioning, effort becomes reactive. You respond to what is already visible. You compete in crowded spaces. You act after movement has already occurred. This creates friction, not because the system is unfair, but because you are interacting with it late. Timing is a function of position. The closer you are to the center of movement, the earlier you see, the earlier you act, the less competition exists. The further you are, the more you react. The more crowded it becomes, the less control you have. This is why outcomes begin to separate even among people with similar access. One person is present, another is positioned. And over time, position compounds faster than presence, because position changes how opportunity flows, not just how often it appears. It changes direction. Instead of moving past you, it begins to move through you. And that shift is where leverage begins. Once network and positioning begin to align, the system changes. Not visibly, but structurally. You stop moving toward opportunity. Opportunity begins moving toward you. This is not because effort disappears. It is because effort is no longer spent searching. It is spent selecting. What to accept, what to ignore, what to expand. The direction reverses. When someone is positioned correctly within a network, they become part of the system's routing. Information passes through them. Introductions include them. Decisions consider them. Not constantly, but consistently enough to compound. This is where advantage accelerates, because network and positioning do not operate separately. They reinforce each other. Better positioning increases the quality of your network. A stronger network improves your positioning. The loop tightens. And once it tightens, it becomes difficult to replicate from the outside. This is why some individuals appear to move faster over time, not because they suddenly changed, but because their position changed. And position compounds. At this stage, effort becomes more efficient. Fewer actions produce larger outcomes, not because the system favors them unfairly, but because they are aligned with how it already moves. They are no longer forcing entry. They are operating within flow. From the outside, this looks like consistency. Opportunities appear to arrive regularly. Decisions seem to produce stronger results. Momentum looks natural, but it is not random. It is structured. And this is the point where most people misread what they are seeing. They focus on the visible layer, the results, the outcomes, the speed. They do not see the positioning underneath it. So they try to replicate the visible behavior. Work harder, move faster, do more. But behavior without positioning does not produce the same result, because the system responds to placement, not just effort. This is the shift. From trying to increase output to understanding where you sit within the structure. From chasing opportunity to recognizing how it flows. From isolated effort to strategic placement. Because once you understand how movement works, the objective changes. Not to do more, but to position better. Not to force access, but to move closer to where access already exists. Network gives you exposure. Positioning gives you direction. Together, they determine trajectory. Not instantly, but consistently. And over time, consistency becomes separation. Quiet, gradual, structural. If this shifted how you see the system, subscribe. Like this if it clarified something.